anything but sit here and,
Well, now, you can sit there, you can zoom or something whatsoever
Yeah.
when I move funny, but,
definitely,
yeah,
I do have to move it,
yeah, well, now that's the idea.
because it's just not,
It looks tilted for some reason.
and I think,
So you move the camera for that part, I mean, the lens, yeah.
because it's cutting off the top
I
of your
got my
head.
head in there, and,
Yeah, it was cutting off the top of your head and the top row of books.
well, it's okay if it cuts off the top row of books as long as it leaves my head intact. Yeah, now you people, if this gets onto the tape, we're not all like professionals. We're as professional as I'm ever gonna get. You have to understand that part. But, okay,
Wait,
you did what now?
I think it needs to be zoomed in a little closer, maybe.
Well, you can do that. You've got that control over there. Zoom it in a little bit then. Are you doing it right? Is it paying attention?
It is now.
Good.
Okay, now I have to readjust this because it's closer means that I'm doing it wrong.
That's all right. We got another leader now. We okay?
I think that's about perfect.
All right then. Yeah. Now, I don't know how much of what went on before it gets on the tape, but like I say, we're not professionals, and I don't intend to be at this age, but we're going to have some fun with this. And howdy, everybody. Thank you for inviting me back if you saw the first tape. But anyhow, it's very, very, very nice to be with you. And again, welcome to our meeting room. And we have selected this book display as a nice backdrop. It is in the meeting room. And howdy to you. And this is really not my tape. This is inspired by Pen and Puck, trying to follow on. And, you know, I blamed all this on the white unicorn magic, and call it what you want. But this is the essence of a way of life, the magical way of life that is successful. And again, adopting our basic theme of everything getting better and better and better and better with no upper limit. And with that in mind, let's greet our friends a little bit, and you, and everybody happy party. And I'm using Bast's idea of a little red wine, nicely iced for a cooler. It's the middle of the afternoon, it's hot in this place, so it's a good idea, and everybody happy party. And we might play with that once in a while. Let me recount for you that part. You know, life should be that ongoing spirit party. This is where the magic comes from, and where the fun comes from, and all the good and happiness. And the more you are in rapport and having a good time with your spirit friends, the better it all gets. And like I say, there's always a libation at a party, but you got plenty of choices. As I say now, as I said before, and we'll stay with this kind of a theme, Ishtar likes his coffee, Pan just loves his brandy, Puck will settle for ice water and a joke, especially if it's a good raunchy joke. I'm stealing Virginia's terminology there, but that's fine. I call it colorful. But Bast likes the iced red wine. And anything you like is satisfactory too. But you should always consider the libation. And remember, now it's a 24-hour day party, so sometimes you take it to bed with you. The libation, that is. I want to expand this theme of a life of magic that always gets everything getting better and better and better and better and better. Now, it comes with this, that what, I don't know who taught me this many, many years ago, but I know Pain and Puck in on it, and that is about anything in life. If I can't have a good time, I'm not going. Now, this is an important theme, because you know there's one thing that goes with it. You have to take the good time with you. And the more you focus on the fun part of life, the better it all gets. Now, I tried to start this theme in the White Witchcraft book all those years ago, but I kind of got shot down. The editors and publishers and all said, you cannot put humor in it. If it's not serious, nobody will pay any attention to you. And so, to get published, I made some serious compromises. But we don't do that anymore. And I have tried ever since to get more humor into all of this. That, as a matter of fact, I think it was the miraculous laws of, no, the miracle of universal psychic power, that I set the theme of humor being the energy source. So they couldn't cut the damn stuff, but they still made it awful stuffy as far as I'm concerned. And what we want to get to is the fun, because it is the fun and love and joy that makes everything work. Now, we're talking about a magical way of life. This is not something that you sit down at some silly altar somewhere and make a monkey out of yourself chanting a bunch of gibberish for 10 minutes or 10 hours. It doesn't work. And I proved that a long, long time ago. We were into the pyramid work and chanting over the planted thought forms and stuff. And so I said, let's find out. So I told my craftsman people on a toilet seat. No. By this I meant a base, like the base of the pyramid. We were using a 6-inch jobby, so it was 9 1/8 square for the base, but a hole in the middle, see. And so we set this up with a thought form, and underneath I put a tape recorder with a tape loop, so that it would go constantly. And I did the chanting and made a tape loop and put it under there, and we wore out, oh God, 4 or 5 tape recorders and a couple of dozen tape loops before I said, you see, I have proved the point. A parrot is a lousy magician. That damn thing was doing all this, but there was no feeling in it. It was just a voice. The feeling is what counts. The feeling and the fun. And this goes back to my lead into some of the serious, if you bother my quote, the work that we want to get into. And I don't remember, I blame it both on Pan and Puck, but I adopted it quickly. And I've cleaned it up now because there's a lovely lady sitting over there behind the camera, and I don't want to embarrass her. But it is the theme and the spirit theme. I mistrust people who can't laugh while making love. Now you know how I cleaned that up. But anyway, the whole idea of life, no matter what you're doing, is to make it fun. To make it fun for the spirit people that you're working with and playing with, because if it's not fun, they won't stay very long. I still go back to that guy way back there, maybe 31, 32 years ago or more in L.A., and I looked at him, he came in, I swear he should have been a U-boat commander from World War II or something. A very, very wonderful, staunch, well-disciplined Germanic type. And he fit that, my classic pattern, the crew cut and the whole bit. And he got into our magical work, particularly the spirit contact part, and he really took to it. And he set up his altar and called his spirit friends. They just had a ball. And, he did it in good German style. Okay, I want you to go down here and give me a raise. I want you to go over here and fix the lawnmower. And he was really ordering these guys around. Well, the first couple of weeks, he was in seventh heaven. He was doing all of this, and they were playing with him, Spirit will tease you by it was kind of a honeymoon period. And then about the third week he came in, really mattered in hell. Al, what's the matter with these spirits? They don't obey me anymore. And of course I had to laugh. In the old Wicca school, you have these very, very complicated rituals where you do summon the nature spirits, you order the nature spirits to do this in good U-boat commander style. But there's just one thing you have to remember. When you're doing it that way, you better be letter perfect in whatever ritual or chant or whatever you're doing, because it's just like a computer. They will take you literally and do what you tell them, which is not necessarily what you want them to do. I've used so many computer analogies in metaphysics, because it's very, very true. In Vedanta they call it the anima mundi, the like unto the soil in which you plant the seed. Well, now the soil will take the seed that you have planted, that's your idea and feeling, and bring forth the fruit in accordance with the seed. Well, that is still, it is manifesting what you really put in there, not what you wanted to put in there. And the difference is the feeling, the humor, the joy. And, I go back, one of my pet themes has always been, I mistrust people who can't laugh while making love. But it goes for, I mistrust people who can't laugh while doing any serious task. And you see the trouble with people that don't laugh while they're making love is they make it work. They make it a serious task. That's bullshit. You pardon my French. But yeah, my apologies to Virginia. But anyway, we're looking for the kind of a relaxed theme. The only way I've ever been able to get around the seriousness is with humor. And if you can teach me somebody else, some other way, I'll listen. And Pan and Puck will laugh at us both. But what we're looking for is setting that mood of magic. Not for some stupid session at an altar, but for your 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week spirit party. Now, again, it's a way of life. I have blamed it on the white unicorn or something as an excuse for anything else. But the way of life is what we're looking for. And the idea of, what do I say? I'm looking for the mystical approach, the mystic attunement, the oneness with your spirit people, with the infinite through your spirit people, and of course with your mate. And we want to get into some of this now. One of our buddies from Dallas, a long-time live member, wrote and said we ought to do as soon as he found out we were doing these tapes, said we ought to do one on sex magic. Well, yeah, well, he's right, but we ain't going to do it the way he was thinking. He was teasing. Anyhow, I want to think in terms of the sex magic, not just for creation of money or healing or some doggone thing, but for the real value of it, which is the mystical union, the oneness. Okay, in sex magic it starts with the oneness with your mate, but it transcends that, and that oneness can be expanded to be the ultimate mystic experience. Now you got to watch me there, because I treat better and better and better, so there can't be an ultimate, okay? But ultimate for now, and we know when we get it, we can start working for better and better and better the next day. But we got to get something until you make it better and better. Now, a part of this for me goes way back, at least 25, if not 27 years ago. I was in a little studio room we had set up at my home on Mount Olympus in West Hollywood. And I don't remember what I was doing with Bast, but it was a very, very creative time and a real high. And all of a sudden, as we reached what I would call now the culmination, there was an expansion in my throat chakra. just total expansion. And the only way I could describe it was a throat chakra orgasm. And it completely transcended any orgasm that I had ever had in a normal way, or an abnormal way for that matter, with the root chakra. And golly, I filed that in the back of my head. Now, I've written about some of this in the White Unicorn book, but how do you say that? I don't think words on a piece of paper are going to do it. Maybe I can get enough feeling into my words and wave at you enough and all the nonsense that goes with it that we can get some of these points across to where you can use them. Now, the idea of an orgasm in a chakra other than the root chakra, whatever you want to call that thing down there, other than in the seat of the Kundalini, or I always go back to that cute little old lady that sat there with her arms folded like this through a class and looked down her nose at me. And so then after the formal class, we were doing the hands-on healings, and she got up and walked over and looked at me and says, I know, hang my Kundalini over the edge of the chair. And it's totally cracked up. But, sometimes the stuff here somebody looks for more, they're just setting you up. And I've been known to do that. I drive my lover nuts with the idea of our balance being extremely colorful and, as she says, raunchy in my language, with a lovely bit of classic British understatement. And you keep people off balance that way, and the spirit people love it too. Now, anything that's fun for you is fun for your spirit people and brings the cooperation that we're looking for. Now, what I want to do is talk about, now some of this is in that White Unicorn book too, and some of it I had in some newsletters was that middle to late 87 or 97 or 96, well, we won't care. It's not exactly new, but I'm trying to bring a fresh slant to it and see where we're going with this, because that idea of not a normal sexual orgasm as used in the sex magic to produce the thought form to bring the good, because that is the strongest. Prior to this stuff, that's the strongest magic that ever was. But we're going to have it better now. And this is part of better and better and better. So we started to work on this idea of chakra merging. After all, the sex act has to involve the merging of the root chakras. Now, I'm going to go at all of this from a totally heterosexual viewpoint, but you who have other sexual preferences, don't feel put off or put out. You're smart enough to adjust it to the way you like to do things, and it's important that we accept each other as we are. But I think it's important for me to go at it like I do it and let you make the modifications as necessary. Now, again, if you remember way back in the witchcraft book, I borrowed this from the old Wicca stuff, where the idea was that you choose a picture, and in some of you choose an easy one. The picture would be a whole bunch of money, for instance, and way back there we had that idea of just the room filled with $100 bills or something like that, and so then you have to have a little symbol that goes with it. And so for one not easy, symbol is just dollar signs. Now, again, in the witchcraft book, they cut this part, and I'm going to try not to make this X-rated. It had to be a little R here now. But in the witchcraft book, the editor cut the key part of it. And I tried to explain that later in your golden key, but a lot of you haven't put the two together. I think that what we're saying here is you have this picture, and the idea, you make the normal copulation, again, your way, not mine, which is very, very important because everything has to be relaxed. And if you're serious about it, forget it, it won't work. But you're turning loose with the passion, the love. And if you focus on the love part, the passion will take care of itself. But as you're doing it, there is this picture of the room filling with the $100 bills. Well, now, yeah, okay, I'll get back to this in a minute. Let's go ahead and finish that part of the ritual, because then the part they cut was there has been the, this is prolonged as long as you can savor it and draw it out. And then there is the climax. The thing about that is the lady can climax whenever she wants. The man can only do that once for this, so he has to be a gentleman. A gentleman always lets a lady come first. Now, what we're getting at here, though, is then you've had this picture, you've released it with the orgasm, and then in the old textbooks they say you stay nicely together for at least 10 minutes and let the fluids blend, and then you do a little finger painting. You put the symbol on the abdomen of your partner, and this is done that way, and then the ritual's finished. Well, it's not too bad. Now, let's get back to Pan and Puck's update. It was so doggone funny. We were working on this, and we're not going to get into details of how we were working on this, but all of a sudden I got this picture from Puck. And it was of the lady's root chakra spewing out $100 bills. Much more dynamic than the other way. Then later he added to it, it was my root chakra doing the same thing. And then we added one more thing. You got a little excess weight or fat that you'd like to get rid of. You put that in there, see, and that goes out into making the $100 bills. Now, you can do this sort of thing for health, for love, for whatever. Now, and you, how can I say that? If you're alone, don't worry about it. What we're looking for here is that kind of camaraderie and oneness. Now, it is awful nice if you can have the partner in the flesh, but if not in the flesh, and I wrote about this in White Unicorn. I was still on the theory that maybe in the flesh there's always an arm or a leg or something in a damn way, and so if you did it on the astral, it would be better, and of course for you young people, safer from the pregnancy standpoint. But where did I go there? Okay. Yeah, go ahead, laugh at me, and you guys laugh at me too, because that's fair. But there is always your spirit lover, and not a nicer way to get to know your spirit lover. And of course, I had trouble with that for quite a while because, if you've read any of my work, my spirit lover for at least 50 years is this delightful lady Karakasa. And, some interesting root, by the way. I love the name, the Ka comes from the Egyptian idea, what they call it, soul. Your Ka was your spirit, really. And the Ra, of course, is the Ra from Amun-Ra, or the sun god. And then you're back to another Ka. And the Sa, I never quite figured that out, but I like the Karakasa. And, there's a lot of things, symbology and names. Well, in the old Egyptian magic, if you knew the name of the god, you had control over the god. Well, that's nonsense. But if you understand we got into metaphysics with that. In the metaphysical concept, name means the nature. Okay, now if you know the nature of the God, you can not control but work with. Now this goes clear back to Troard, and if there's if a thing is true, there's a way in which it is true. If you understand the way, then you can control it. Now, of course, he always used the analogy of a hunk of iron. Take a hunk of iron and drop it in the water and it sinks. But when you understand the laws of buoyancy, you can make an iron ship and it will float. Why? Because you understand the law. And there are natural laws that most of the time cannot be violated, but they can be used. And why does an airplane fly? Because we understand the laws. It's the same kind of buoyancy, really, only this, of course, it has to do with motion for most of it. But again, what I'm looking for is that understanding of how all this stuff works and why it works on a fun level. And you're back to my U-boat commander, why won't these spirits obey me anymore? Well, of course they won't, because they were teasing you, and then they got tired of you, and so they dump you on your ass where you belong. Now let's get back and make this fun for your spirit people, and it'll work. And this is back to, are you going to throw that piece of iron in the drink and it sinks, or are you going to make a ship out of it? And let's learn to make ships. Only, I like to call them thought forms. Same difference. Because a ship really is a thought form, and it's just been manifested a little bit further. Oh, this goes way, way back when I was first studying aura and trying to understand all this stuff. I had the delightful position as financial VP and controller of an aerospace firm. And my office looked out down a line of draftsmen. What do you call them? Well, they were more than draftsmen. They were senior techs, but they still had to draw this stuff. And I looked out there this one time, just relaxing, and I saw this beautiful golden aura around the sky. And pretty soon, it turned him loose and flew up and just floated away. And as it did, I saw him lean back with his hands behind his head. He'd finished that part of the drawing. The thought form was complete, it had been released. And in due time it manifested as the part he was designing for whatever ridiculous thing we were doing, probably something we were shooting to the moon. But the concept of that is so important. This is creative. Now, this is creative in a slightly different way than the wild magic that we're talking about, but it's all degrees of the same thing. Now, let's go back and work toward a practical, workable, non-X-rated, magical approach to what I'd like to call by now like a 10-chakra merger. All of your chakras merge. And when you get it just right, the orgasm of all 10 chakras creates a thought form so strong that you would believe. If you're looking for instant manifestation or gratification, you got it. But it ain't that easy. You got to learn to do it. And this is back to, I have delighted in calling myself teacher's pet for many years. And when Bash comes through in trance or something, she addresses me as, "Hi, my pet." Now, how do you be Bash's pet? The word is discipline. Now, most people think discipline is a dirty word, just as dirty as the nature spirits think the word work is, But it's not true in either case, because you make play out of the work, and in the same way you make fun out of the discipline. And the discipline is always positive. Now, I always said this when I'm teaching weight control. the discipline is good Raja Yoga. You take that step back and say, what do I really want? You examine the desire. So somebody offers you this piece of pie, lovely looking piece of pie, but it's the wrong time. It's after dinner, and you've probably had enough to eat already, and you have to make that decision. I would love. What do I want? Real gratification from that piece of pie. But what do I really want? I want comfort, beauty, love, all these happy things. So, which desire wins? And I always worked it this way then. Okay, I'd love to have this piece of pie, but I love my beautiful slim body more, so I'm going to pass on the pie and enjoy my slim body. Now, this is positive discipline. Now, most people think of discipline as willpower, or, well, they say willpower, but the willpower is a bunch of garbage. What they mean is willpower. I won't do this. No. I will make a positive choice, always. I will choose my nice slim body, and you can see I'm pretty skinny for crying out of here, but because I practice what I babble, the most of the time. But that idea of everything being a positive choice is where the discipline is no longer onerous. And as long as discipline is based on what they call willpower, what I call want power, you'll never get to be teacher's pet because it's onerous and you won't like it. We have to learn the discipline of positive choice. And that only happens when you learn as you take that step back. Well, we said this, oh my God, it must be 32, 33 years ago in class when I was doing the first set of sessions on the light course, the new light I hope for you. And we were talking about doing a mental radar sweep of your aura. And what I'm trying to get at here, though, was what you do this mental radar sweep. What's out there? Well, there's a thought form there. There's something, a desire or something that's kind of trying to get to you. So the idea was that you grab it mentally and drag it around in front of you and face it. What is your purpose? And the big thing is, who is your father? In other words, where did you come from, and in whose desire are you? And most of the time you find that somebody's sending you something trying to control you. So you say, I choose my own control. Go back where you came from. We don't need you no more. And we did this, and of course we developed thought form zappers of various kinds to get rid of them. We still have a thought form zapper cologne that works pretty well. Somebody gave me a Jewel fly swatter for Jason. But I still do some of that, but not as consciously as we did way back then. That idea of that mental radar sweep, say, well, I like it. There's this theory that the pregnant pauses at a party, like at 20 minutes after the hour and 20 minutes till the hour and on the hour. But all of a sudden the conversation comes to a halt. I don't know how true that is, but I like to think of it that way. All of a sudden, at about those times, you pause and do that little radar sweep and see what you need to get rid of. Now, all of this by way of setting up, working on the chakra mergers, and well, very few people are going to get an orgasm of a chakra above the spleen, or the spleen or above, without some kind of mechanical help or a partner of one kind or another. But again, what we're looking for is recognizing that the chakras are there, and they can merge with chakras of the same kind. Now, let's go way, way back. The reason I put this chair in here instead of the one with the arms on it I used last time is I want to demonstrate part of this, and I hope you will do it. Now, you reach out with your hands, feel the energy flow, and if you play right, I've been accused of playing the accordion that way. I'm just fooling around. People will see the aura energies. and they'll stretch, and you get it, but you need to check your chakras, and so you start at the bottom. You check that root chakra. Now this goes way back. I think I wrote about this in Helping Yourself with ESP. That was my second book, but anyhow, you feel that aura flow, you feel that energy flow, and encourage it, okay? And then you got that going good, you check the next one. And the ones that you have the most trouble with are the spleen, because that's where all the resentment and crap hangs out and blocks, or the solar plexus. That's the seat of the emotions, and anything that you're anxious about will block that chakra. So you got to clean that one good and nice. Now the heart should be all right, and unless you're suffering from just being jilted or something, but you get that one going nice. Now then this is kind of my pet. The throat chakra belongs to Marduk, and it's pure creativity, which I didn't understand as well until I had that thing with Bass that I told you about. But it's also that nice blue light that you can use as a thought form zapper without bothering to get the cologne or the jewel flight water. When there's something bugging you and they don't get any other way, you just shoot that shot of bright blue light at the thought form, and it'll break it up. And well, that's peaceful. Now, on up the crown chakra, or the brow chakra, and this is basically where you get the high level psychic inputs. You get the gut level psychic inputs right there in that solar plexus. But the higher and more mental things you get out of that brow chakra. Keep that nice and clean, because inspirational writing will come from there more than any place else. Then of course the crown, dear Bast, and again the discipline. This is the ruler of all of that part. And then next above is Isis, Mama Isis. And then above Mama Isis is Abraxas. And I like to think, now you can still, these are all personalities to me. I can talk to Abraxas and teach with him as easy as with Marduk or Pan or Puck or any of them. But then the next one, that 10th one, is so close to the Godhead that it's hard to feel it personally, but it's there, and that is what I would call universal love. And we want to get all of these hooked up when we're going. Now, you do this, and if you're working with a spirit lover for a partner, you do it for him or her too. And then we go at this feeling of, no, it has to start with pure love. That love that wants that oneness, the merger. Now, if you're doing this, and you're keeping that sex magic idea in mind too, so that you have this pretty picture, whether it be of vibrant good health or in a room full of $100 bills or whatever you like, you work that in with the same thing. And but now, you're using the picture, you're thinking of it as the sex magic. Now, you don't necessarily have to physically copulate, but it don't hurt nothing. But the idea is that desire to be one, to be merged. And you let all the chakras merge with each other, and you feel yourself inside your partner and your partner inside you until you really are one. And let that expand then all the way up, and touch what we might call the Godhead. But if you can really feel that total oneness with everything, and the fact that you are totally loved, you totally love, you are totally loved, that will build the thought form, or whatever you want to say, that is perfection itself. Now, when you really get that, and you feel that concept, you live it, and Virginia reminded me, you zen it, by golly, it's direct experience. When you get the direct experience of that, you will, at least for a few days, call that the ultimate mystic experience. But remember, there's always a challenge. You get it? Now, what's going to be better? Better and better and better with no upper limit. And now, I didn't write a script for this. This thing really belongs to Puck, and particularly Puck, but Pan and Ishtar and always banished. There is a theme, and the theme really still has to be, and Virginia's going to tease me, and you didn't laugh enough. Well, the hell I didn't. I was laughing at me inside. But again, if you get the seriousness out, you see, if you can't laugh, no matter what you're doing, if you can't laugh with it, then you're too uptight and serious and you're blocking. And this has to be the theme. I think I called this doggone thing loving and laughing your way to success or something silly. But it works if you're dumb enough to turn loose and let. Now, all these years, I've been trying to sell the idea of relaxed good humor. Yeah, I started, particularly in my second book, Helping Yourself with ESP. My theme there was, what is it? What is this thing called extrasensory perception? And I defined it very simply, relaxed awareness. And I've never changed that. The psychic inputs of all kinds come from relaxed awareness. And when the awareness is at least semi-focused on fun and good humor, it comes easier. The more serious you are, the less relaxed you are, and so what the hell is the awareness? Your awareness of your focus on one thing, and that's tunnel vision, it won't work. It's relaxed awareness, the fun. Again, I'm back to the party. Make it fun. Make it fun for your spirits. And it can't help but be fun for you, but it works both ways. If you're not having a good time, they're not, and they just won't be bothered. They'll wander off somewhere. You have to figure out a nice way to entice them back. But if you're having a good time, and you keep that good time, and you keep that party going, and I always teased about that Smith Brothers cough drop commercial all those years ago. I think this may have been a parody, but it was, ladies, do you have a cold? Try Smith Brothers. Take one to bed with you. They're very soothing. Well, now, what I'm getting at is take that party to bed with you. Well, we used to way back there were times when we had a take your spirit lover to lunch week and things like that. But it wants to be more than that now. It's 24 hours a day. Party, enjoy, fun, and the magic. And again, I don't know how to tell you, but you see it at least a half a dozen times a day with me. My screw-ups. Spirit has a way of turning them into serendipity. And the sloppier I get, the better they bail me out and the better it works. Because we're playing and enjoying. And, well, it's like any kind of a team. You're playing basketball. Your teammates cover for you and you cover for them. And whatever you're doing, if it's fun, and even basketball can be fun. I say even because when there's a couple of $1 million riding on this next point or something, it's hard not to get a little bit too serious. But the real pros can do it. They're not serious, they're playing. And the more fun it is, the better they are. The more three-point shots they make and all that good stuff. Well, again, what I'm reaching for is don't just take the party to bed with you, but wake up with it. And I hope I've given you enough how-to make some sense out of this. Before we turn it loose, I guess I'll have to watch it once to see. But usually for me, it's bored to play because if I tried it again, it'd be flat. It'd be flat as all get out. So I'm going to say again, thank you for letting me come play with you. And I hope I'll see you again in your nice, wherever you like to watch these things. And meanwhile, drop in those astrally at the lab. We love the company. And don't you be so serious. Everybody relax and let. And enjoy. And the more you enjoy, the better it'll be. And I'm looking at the old clock on the wall. It says I've run off at the mouth on you for about 45 minutes or better. And if I go any further, I'm probably beating a dead horse. So I'm going to say again, thank you for letting me come play with you. And have a super good time and an ever better and better and better life. And bye-bye for now and blessed be. And turn that silly thing off. Pushing the button.
I think it's this one right here, isn't it?
No,
There's an off button right
no,
here.
it's this